Welcome back, my friends. There is a town in North America that you cannot find on a modern GPS. The zip code was revoked in 1992. The highway leading into it was bulldozed and blocked by concrete barricades. The government claims it is an environmental hazard zone due to an underground coal fire, but a fire is just a chemical reaction. A fire doesn't actively hunt people. In the 1950s, Ashwood was a booming, prosperous community built directly on top of one of the richest coal veins in the country. Over 2,000 people called it home. The town was alive, funded by the labyrinth of deep mine shafts that snaked for miles beneath their houses, their schools, and their churches. But the prosperity ended on the evening of October 14, 1962. A routine controlled burn at the town's landfill went horribly wrong. The fire ignited an exposed seam of anthracite coal. The flames didn't spread across the surface, they went downward, instantly igniting the labyrinth of tunnels beneath the town. The fire raged underground. The ground grew hot to the touch. Toxic carbon monoxide seeped into the basements of homes, silently poisoning families in their sleep. Sinkholes began to open in backyards, swallowing trees and vehicles into the burning abyss. The government ordered an immediate mandatory evacuation. Ashwood was abandoned. That is the official story. That is what the history books record. But in 2018, the Freedom of Information Act forced the declassification of the Department of Energy's original geological survey of Ashwood. The survey revealed a horrifying anomaly. The fire burning beneath the town wasn't acting like a normal coal fire. It was burning at over 3,000 degrees, and the flames venting from the sinkholes were a blinding, luminescent blue. In 1968, 6 years after the town was evacuated, the government sent a specialized team of 3 structural engineers back to Ashwood. Their mission was simple: descend into the abandoned main shaft, map the perimeter of the underground fire, and determine if it was spreading toward neighboring cities. The engineers were equipped with heavy thermal suits, oxygen tanks, and a reel-to-reel audio recorder to document their findings. They descended in a rusted iron cage elevator, dropping 2 miles into the burning crust of the earth. The audio they captured down there was never meant to be heard by the public. Audio transcript, October 2nd, 1968. Engineer Thomas Vance speaking. We have reached level 4. The ambient temperature is hovering at 140 degrees. The structural integrity of the main tunnel is severely compromised. The walls are glowing, but the smoke is pooling near the ceiling. It's almost completely clear down here. The team pushed deeper into the labyrinth, but as they approached level 7, the epicenter of the fire, the geological readings stopped making sense. The seismographs didn't detect the random shifting of collapsing rocks. They detected rhythmic, localized vibrations, like massive, heavy footsteps. Audio transcript continues. Command, this is Vance. We are looking at the primary burn zone. The flames they are blue. It isn't consuming the coal. It looks like it's feeding on something else. Wait, hold your light steady, Miller. Shine it toward the back wall. What is that? The engineers found themselves standing in a massive, hollowed-out cavern. Clinging to the burning, red-hot walls were dozens of massive, leathery sacs. They looked like grotesque, blackened cocoons, thriving in the 3,000-degree heat, and they were pulsing, slowly expanding and contracting. Audio transcript continues.
Command, we need to extract immediately. These aren't geological formations. Something is growing down here. The heat is incubating them. Oh my God. One of them is opening. Miller, back away. Back away from the wall.
The audio on the tape devolves into pure chaos. The sound of tearing flesh is followed by the horrifying wet crackle of bones snapping. The things that emerged from the cocoons were entirely impervious to the fire. They were towering, emaciated figures, their bodies made of living, blackened carbon and molten rock. The creatures didn't scream. They communicated through low, rumbling vibrations that shook the walls of the tunnel. The engineers abandoned their equipment and sprinted for the iron elevator cage. But you cannot outrun something that lives in the fire. final audio transcript. Pull the lever, pull it, they're in the walls, they're moving through the rocks. The sound of the rusted elevator gears grinding to life is overpowered by a deafening metallic screech. The creatures weren't just fast. The intense heat of their bodies allowed them to melt straight through the iron grates of the cage. The tape captures exactly 34 seconds of agonizing screams as the thermal suits of the engineers are melted to their skin. And then the screaming stops. The only sound left on the final minute of the tape is a slow, rhythmic, heavy breathing, accompanied by the crackling of blue flames. When the elevator cage finally returned to the surface, it was completely empty. The iron bars had been partially melted, bent inward like soft plastic. The military was deployed within hours. They didn't mount a rescue mission. Instead, they poured thousands of tons of wet concrete down the primary shafts, permanently sealing the mine. Today, the exclusion zone remains strictly off limits to the public. If you ask a government official, they will tell you the coal fire is expected to burn for another 250 years. They will tell you the smoke is toxic. But those who live in the towns bordering the quarantine zone know the truth. On quiet nights, when the wind dies down, you can press your ear against the dirt. You won't hear the crackle of burning coal. You will hear the deep rhythmic thud of massive footsteps pacing back and forth, waiting for the concrete to finally crack.